I don't want any trouble, okay? Someone's gonna scooch up that chimney.
Hello friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. It is now the month of December, which means Christmas movies. And what's the first Christmas movie that comes out in the theaters? A Violent Night, which would actually fall under the Xmas movie realm. For those of you who follow me on social media, you know that I was going to do an Edward Scissorhands review, but I actually forgot this movie was coming out this weekend, and I only have time to do one review, so I'm going to push back my Edward Scissorhands review one more week, and I'm going to do an Xmas movie review for this movie this week. But before we dive into all that, if you could, hit that like, thumbs up button, that subscribe button, and a little bell ding ding so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Without further ado, let's dive into my movie review for Violent Night. What a lovely surprise this movie is, and I believe they tried to do the same kind of concept, you know, the mean, brooding, violent Santa last year with the Mel Gibson Christmas movie where he was playing Santa, and apparently that one sucked. So thank God we have this one, because this movie rocks. So let's immediately dive into what I do like about this film. This movie is a lot of fun, and it does so like tipping its hat to other great Christmas movies that we all love, like Die Hard, Home Alone, Bad Santa, but it does so while also being kind of its own thing. And one of the things that makes this movie unique to itself is the violence. The violence is, God, it falls to the wall. It's awesome.
Time for some season's beatings. I gotta watch.
I believe in you, Santa.
It's brutal, it's cringy, it's pretty funny at times. This movie definitely lives up to its namesake because they don't hold anything back. There's a lot of times in this movie where I just, as I said, it was cringy, and I'm just like, oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. They did it. And what adds to the violence actually is the music in this movie, because they play very heavily into the Christmas music. So you have this nice, pleasant Christmas music happening during these very violent, bloody moments in this film. I absolutely loved it. This movie gives you everything that you expect it's going to give you, and so definitely kudos to this movie for that. It delivers on its promise. David Harbour is spectacular in this iteration of Santa Claus. He plays in the classic Santa Claus tropes, you know, like the naughty list, the nice list. It actually is a pretty comical part of the film.
Are you gonna help us, Santa?
Yeah, Trudy. They're all on my naughty list. Naughty. That's naughty!
But then there's this part of the movie that really surprised me. It was something that I didn't expect at all, and that was Santa's story arc and where we find him emotionally in this movie. He's not your holly jolly Santa. He's a little beat up by the world in this movie. They don't spend a great amount of time on this, but they did give me enough to actually make me want a prequel to this movie. Seriously, there needs to be a prequel to this movie, and I swear to fucking God, Zack Snyder needs to direct it like 300 style type of directing. I can't really go too much more into depth without going into spoilers, but go see the movie for yourself. You'll know what I'm talking about, and especially if you're a Zack Snyder fan like I am, you'll definitely get where I'm coming from. So the story gives you a little sneak peek to his past life, and it's very ambiguous on how the Christmas magic works. It leaves that story up for interpretation and to be explored, and I really hope they do explore that, especially if they do a prequel, which is my idea. I don't think they're going to do that, but even if they go into a sequel realm, I would really like to dive more into that history of the where, why, how he became how he is in this movie. Beverly D'Angelo was a very pleasant surprise in this movie, and a very, very foul-mouthed, calloused heart of a grandmother. Her character, like many others in this movie, are actually the representation of what Santa hates about, Christmas time these days. Actually, not just Christmas time, but people, and not just people, but the planet Earth itself. Santa's in a dark place in this movie. But I really enjoyed seeing her in a Christmas movie, especially playing a character I've never really seen her play this really just bitchy, foul-mouthed woman that she is in this film. But the other people in this movie is what's going to bring me what I'm on the fence about when it comes to this film. Besides the little girl who kind of co-leads this movie, I thought her character was just fine, and I thought the actress did just fine as well. But everyone else, just, I don't care about. I don't care about anybody else in this movie. Like, there's nothing to them that makes me want to learn more about them or really give a shit where they end up in the movie or their story of how they got there. I don't care. Which would be fine, except for the fact that we spend quite a bit of time with these other characters, and it does bog the movie down a little bit, specifically with its pacing. I would have rather been diving deeper into Santa's past than dealing with these other characters, because again, I just found them to be boring. I have no interest in them. Another thing I'm on the fence about when it comes to this film is it's kind of tonally all over the place. Certain parts in this film, it seems like it's going to be a gritty action comedy sort of film, which is good. It's fine. That's great. But then there's other parts in this film where it's just literally just campy, rated R, Home Alone, slapstick type of jokes, which also is okay if the rest of the movie was like that. I just wish they would have chose one or the other or found a good balance between both. But yeah, there's a couple of times in this movie where you're in a serious moment, you're having a really emotional moment, and then boom, you're watching rated R Home Alone. John Leguizamo. Oh man, buddy, listen. I love John Leguizamo. There's not too many movies with John Leguizamo that I don't like, or at least if I didn't like the movie, I always liked his portrayal of whatever character he does. I think John Leguizamo really phoned in his performance in this film.
All right, revelers. Welcome to your worst Christmas ever. Let's go!
His jokes didn't land for me. His story I didn't care about. He's the main antagonist that has the final boss battle with Santa, which is not really believable in any sort of way. I feel like he's no match for Santa, to be honest with you. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody's a match for Santa in this movie. I'm kind of confused why it was such a challenge for Santa to take some people out, especially with this like Zack Snyder 300 style origin story that we kind of get a glimpse into. Just a lot of suspension of disbelief and absolutely no verisimilitude. I don't believe what I'm watching, which sucks because this is a movie that's begging you to believe in Santa. But there are quite a bit of unbelievable, unrealistic things that come to this movie. And yes, I know I'm talking about a Santa Claus movie, but as I said, verisimilitude is very important. I know that I'm watching a movie with Santa who's going around killing a whole bunch of people, but make me believe in the world that you created for me, please. Thank you. That's all I want. I'm a simple man. Now moving right along with what I don't like about this movie. And there's really one thing I don't like about this movie, and that's the fact that sound does not travel. Sound does not travel in this movie whatsoever. There's one scene where Santa's taking down a guy, and he's got this automatic weapon that's just shooting in the air. Like 20 bad guys in this house, and nobody hears this gunfire going on. I mean, even when there are fight scenes in other rooms or upstairs above other people, nobody hears what the fuck is going on. I could, suspension of disbelief, again. Okay, well, they just can't hear that. That's fine. But then you have the little girl again, who's literally talking to Santa on a walkie-talkie in a room filled with people, many of which have guns, and nobody hears her talking. She's not hiding from anybody. She's not behind a couch. She's not hiding behind a curtain or in a closet. Sound doesn't travel. It's really annoying.
We decided that you could have one gift. Early.
What is it?
That is a direct hotline to Santa Claus himself.
I can talk to Santa.
Overall, this movie 100% delivers on its namesake promise. It's a fun, very creative, and quite funny film with an unexpected, powerful story arc for Santa Claus. But no one else. No one else at all. So I'm not sure how the rewatchability is going to be with this movie. I do want to see it one more time, only because I want to take my mom to go see it and tell her I'm going to go see a Christmas movie, but not tell her it's going to be this Christmas movie. I just want to see her reaction. I really do. But besides that, I don't really want to see this movie again. I don't have a big problem with it. If it came on TV while I was doing something, I'd probably watch it, but I'm not going to go out and buy the Blu-ray or a digital copy of it. I think there's a great deal of this movie that is kind of forgettable just because we do focus on the very uninteresting, boring characters that plague this movie. But I'd be goddamned if I don't want that Zack Snyder 300 style prequel. I mean it. It's there. Hollywood, make it happen. I'm not exactly sure how they would continue this franchise without actually fracturing it or taking the heart out of it a little bit. Much like, Rambo First Blood compared to Rambo 2. Rambo 2 was just all about the blood, guts, explosion, and greasy muscle guys, as opposed to First Blood had that actual heart storyline, heaviness to it. I think that's kind of what would happen if they do come up with a sequel to this movie, but I wouldn't be against a sequel to this movie as well. But as a one and done experience, I had a great time with this movie, and I think you will too. So for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie a C+.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
There you have it, guys. There's my review for Violent Night. It was kind of a short review, but there's really not too much for me to dive into when it comes into this movie. It is what it is. You're going to get what you're expecting to get when you go see this movie, which is a good thing. I do recommend you go see it at least one time. Let me know your thoughts of this movie in the comments below. Would you have given a higher grading? Is this your new favorite Christmas movie of all time? Or do you absolutely hate this movie? All of which, let's discuss. Comments below. Thank you much. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos. And as always, stay trig happy, my friends. Peace.
You ain't driving, are you?
I steer a little, but the ranger do most of the work.